Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of my podcast, How Not to Be an Artist. In this episode, I am interviewing Sam, aka SBR Bone and Star. She is a musician, singer, tattooist. She does it all, and you'll hear a lot about everything that she does in this episode. You have just been listening to in the intro Neon Oracle, the band that she sings for, a new track. I believe it's newish. I just wanted to do a little introduction to the episode before the actual interview part is gonna start, because the introduction was a bit poor on this. It was kind of like, hi, hello, which you'll see in a minute. And I didn't really, I felt like I didn't give her a good enough introduction. I didn't even explain who she was for those listening or watching that don't know of her. So this was the reason for this. I think the reason for that was probably because we had been chatting so much before we even started recording. So we were kind of getting to know each other as well in that start bit before we went right into it, but I hadn't really done any sort of intro for you guys, so this is it now. Also wanted to mention, if you're watching the episode like on YouTube, I've only realised now that my like I want my septum pierced and the thing is the wrong way like the whole time, and it was really bugging me. So I just wanted to point that out. That I don't actually. The one I've got in right now is too big. It's like the one that I got put in when I first got pierced, and I've just never got changed. Anyway, I'm rambling on. So I'll just let you actually listen to this now. And hope you enjoy. There's, loads of topics on just life as a musician, as a creative, as a female in the music industry, and just some little general life things, social media as well for artists, all those kind of struggles. So yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoy. Bye. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining me today on, literally the second episode of my podcast. And thanks for being a bit of a guinea pig, I guess.
Oh no, thank you for having me. I love guinea pig activities. It's like my favorite. It's way more interesting phase to get in on a project. It's a way more interesting bit to get in when it's just like lurching around like a little baby.
Yeah, they're from the start kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically my podcast, I think I've talked to you a bit about it, but focusing on kind of just the ups and downs of being an artist or being a creative, particularly in the music world, and just your own experience and what it's like in the modern day of kind of navigating yourself in this manic industry. So firstly, if you just want to tell me a bit about yourself, about you, your journey within music and just being a creative.
Okay. I was raised in a really musical family. My mom was a singer. My first stepdad was a sound engineer, so I was constantly just at gigs watching my mom perform. And then I started to play piano. I wrote a musical about the rise of the machines when I was 7. It was pretty heavy,
Wow.
intense. I had
Love that.
I just terrorized my Slovenian families. So I loved music. I pursued it all the way through school. Dropped out of school when I was 15. Just went a bit off the rails.
As you do.
Then yeah, well, especially when you've got a bit of a spicy brain, you tend
Yeah.
not to tread the more trodden, the more trodden path. I don't know what the word is. I'm trying to find. Um, so in my early 20s, I got a really great opportunity to work with a really good producer who was producing for John Martin. who had just been in a car accident and was like on hiatus for a bit.
Mhm.
So Gary, the producer, was looking for a project, and it was at the time when like Amy Winehouse and Joss Stone and Katie Melua were like big, and they were looking for the next one of those. And they
Mhm.
drafted me when I was 20, and instantly started to try and turn me into something I didn't want to do. And I just had to get the fuck out of there. Thank God I did. I was recovering from cancer, and so I just wasn't gonna. I wasn't going to waste my second chance at life by being
Mhm.
molded into something that I didn't think was good. I didn't wasn't true to me. You know, I didn't want to be. I wanted to be more like Amy Winehouse, and they were trying to make me more Katie Melua, and I could see at the time who was going to be the biggest star, and so I had to gracefully duck out of the project, which was not easy because it's very male dominated. They're all like miles older
Mhm.
than me, and I didn't know if I was going to burn bridges at that point. Anyway, I came away from that. My tattoo career took off, and that just kind of took over for the next sort of 20 years. And then I lost my mum 7 years ago and kind of completely unraveled as a person. And then when I sort of rebuilt myself in my own vision, suddenly the music was like, oh my God, like it's time to come back to this. And like just a stronger point of view than ever. And I've just thrown myself back into it for the last 2 years. Like the clock is ticking, which it is, and I'm just let's fucking
Yeah.
go. Let's get it
Get
done,
on
you
with
know.
it. Oh, I love that. And the fact that, I mean, at that young age, like how easy it must have been just to, as you say, like they were trying to, I guess, form you into this person that wasn't you, to actually say no to that, like that's that's an amazing thing, staying true to yourself. I feel like if I was that age and they'd offered me something, I'd be like, yes, just do whatever you need to. Like,
Yeah.
I think you go through different stages of like reasons why you're doing music.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's kind of how you felt, and it probably flows into my next question. Um, where you stand with, like, you've probably kind of explained that anyway, but monetizing from music and then sort of staying true to the creation of that.
It's funny because even in the last 2 years, I've been on this journey. When I arrived back at the music, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I've waited 20 years. I want to do it properly. So I sought out like a local producer and just wanted to make sure that the music was good if I was going to put it on Spotify and stuff. I wanted it. It's very technical, and I didn't understand how to make it polished, and so I thought I'll get a producer. He was a lot more integral in the growth of the music than I thought he was going to be. I didn't realize he'd be doing quite so much. He kind of took over a little bit, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. He really helped me to kind of come out of myself and see the potential in my music. But very early on, he said, this is very commercial. I think you should try and get this on the radio. I think you should try and do this. And it launched me on this very different trajectory than I had planned on being on. And suddenly I was like up to my eyeballs in marketing and um, strategizing and became very like, I'll put some music out, I'll see which ones people like, and then I'll just write more of the ones that were popular. And like by the end of last year, I was like, I don't even know what I want to write anymore because I've been so busy trying to people please. And honestly, unless you make it really, really, really big, you just hemorrhage money if you want to do this. You don't make money as a musician. You won't even break even unless you meet that perfect storm situation where you just get the big deal or you get the big opportunities.
Yeah.
More often than not, you're spending money and not seeing it back. And I got to the end of last year and was like, if I'm just going to hemorrhage my cash and be a homeless old lady, I want to have had fun and sung the
Mm-hmm.
songs that I want to sing rather than trying to please a bunch of people who aren't interested in getting to know me. I was like, I want to write stuff for me.
Yeah.
And so I had to make that decision to break away from what was actually working. I was on the radio a bunch last year, considering I was new. I was all over the radio. It didn't make me happy because it wasn't truly who I was as a musician. So interesting. Yeah, I made that decision.
Yeah. If it's not writing what you want to write and you're also not making really any money from it, it's like you're just at a lose-lose.
Yeah. It's a labor of love. So make sure you love what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. I totally resonate with that. I've had the same sort of experience in terms of it's got to now till I've started writing just what I actually want to write, and what I want to listen back to, as opposed to creating something for someone else. You will still have people that want to listen to what you want to write and what you want to listen to. I'm assuming from what you've said, you've got some experience with the marketing side of things, whether you've done that yourself or people around you have been doing that for you. And how do you feel now with everything obviously being on social media and the day and age where it's all on Spotify and you're literally making nothing really from recorded music, and yet we're still having to market it, I guess, on social media. And
I think you have to just become very methodical, very mechanical, and get your muscle memory going is my biggest advice. Because I was like, I was in the middle of it and I was like, I hate it here. What is this? This is terrible. I think just as soon as you can, get yourself into the habit of building your content, what your content to look like. Just being able to just go, right, I've got some pictures, I'm gonna put those out, um in terms of like the Spotify and stuff, it's really difficult unless you get that golden placement on a playlist. It's really hard to get the streams up, and it's hard to know. It's like chicken or egg. It's like, am I getting the listens on Spotify because people are finding me on social media? I've actually found artists the other way around. I've found people on Spotify and then gone to find them on social media. So it can just happen in so many different ways that I think it's hell, and you'll tie your brain in knots, and there'll be some days where your ego is a little more wounded than others, and it affects you more, and you do that side by side comparison to people who aren't even remotely similar to you, but you do it and you hurt your own feelings anyway. It's inevitable you're going to have those days, but I would just say, as quick as you can, return to the joy. As fast as you can, get back to the bit of the project that made you want to do it in the first place, whether it's hanging out with your band, whether it's just writing fucking music, whether it's, dancing around the kitchen to stuff that you've already written, and like, try and find ways to immediately get out in the field, do the graft, get it as tuned into your muscle memory as possible so that it just becomes second nature. Get the content out, do a status update, Facebook, Instagram, wherever it is that you're doing it. And then once you've done it, once you've sown those seeds, you've interacted a little bit, get the fuck out of there. Don't spend all day, because you'll start to spend more time hanging out on Instagram than writing your music. And you're too tired and you're too disillusioned because you've gone down the rabbit hole and you've spent all day going, well, look at them, they've got loads of followers. And I'm like, well, why do they get listens on? Oh, look how many streams they've got. When somebody comes on and goes, thank you so much, you guys, my song's only been out a week, and thanks for 100,000 streams. And I'm like, what? How are you doing? Like, how?
I know.
How are you doing this? And it just sends me into this tailspin. It's so unhealthy and eats away at your creativity, eats away at the reason why you'd want to do it, your motivation. It's such a live by the sword, die by the sword culture these days with the social media. It's free, it's amazing, it helps you reach so many more people than the poor sods who were trying to do this 40 years ago. How the fuck did you promote music 40 years ago? But at the same time, it does just completely set your self-esteem on fire on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You just go to bed like, what's wrong with me? Why does everybody hate me? Why am I doing this? It's hard. It's graft for the soul.
Yeah, and it's just so easy to get stuck in that loop. I know it myself. I'm laughing because you've just said what I go through like on an almost daily basis. I think I'm on there scrolling more than I ever am posting. But I mean, the benefits of it are when you do put stuff out there and you are using it as a tool. I mean, that's how I've come across yourself, and a lot of other artists, not just to listen to, but networking with people. So yeah, it's like a love-hate relationship with social media. I think it's just there's no other really like industry that people are in where they are having to use that as a tool as much as we do in music. And it's just such a huge sea of people out there all doing the same thing.
It's like it's almost 50% of the work of being a musician these days,
Oh, I
if not
know.
more, is the marketing. And you're like, I
Yeah.
didn't sign up for this, but it's not going to happen unless you get out there. And it's having to just accept that, and just accept that it's a bit like in those apocalypse movies where the people have to like put on the hazmat suit and like go out into the world to go and find like a tin of beans in an abandoned supermarket, and then they've like got to get back before the radiation like gets through their suit, and then they're okay. I feel like it's like that. You've just got to get into the
Yeah.
social media, go and like do your posts, and like go and like a few posts and interact with your mates, and like get yourself like notched in the algorithm for that day, and then
Yeah.
get the fuck home before you get infected and like
I love
poisoned by
that.
the whole like environment. So it makes it a little more exciting if you think about it like that.
Yeah, that's such a good metaphor for that. I love that. And I guess obviously we've spoke about ADHD and being non-neurotypical. And I think that I was thinking a lot about that when you said that too. It's just the difficulty of staying consistent and getting stuck in that loop. And it's not really what we came here to do. Like, we want to just write music and make
Yeah.
music that we love, and as you say, like, be with your bandmates and perform, and then like be able to make some money from that. But it's just not as easy as that now, sadly.
I think with the ADHD, it causes us so much hassle in our daily life, but there are other aspects to it which can be seen as like a Swiss Army knife. There are all these little fractured, like little tentacles of us, like, and it makes life quite difficult sometimes. But I think when you do have to do a lot of this type of thing, if you can try and like put a positive spin on it and go, okay, I'll do some photographs for myself, I'll do some posting, I'll do this, I'll do that, and make your inconsistency consistent. So the fact that you want to bounce on like 5 different social media accounts, and you do want to do a bit of photography, and you want to write a bit of this, and you want to do a bit of that. I think if you can like harness the power of your ADHD and use it like a Swiss Army knife, and just utilize the fact that you want to do 10 things in an hour,
Yeah.
and go, okay, and then try and find something to love about each of those things that you have to do out on social media. Whether it's thinking of a funny caption for your photograph, whether it's trying to find like 5 people out there on the internet to have a positive internet interaction with. And like that sometimes gets me through as well, is trying to find, like, again, it's the joy, like try and get the joy back. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how can I, like, what can I do to make this little task enjoyable? It's so easy to feel bogged down and fed up. And as soon as you start telling yourself it's not fun, it will stop to be fun. It will stop to be fun. It will stop being fun. Sorry. And so I think if you can try and, as I'm a very inconsistent person, but I'm very consistently inconsistent. So I will bounce between the platforms, and I'll bounce between activities. But what I've found is it's utilized really well within the music, because there's constantly so much to do. And I think that's where a lot of musicians get lost. And I'm like, oh shit, this is actually a bit of a superpower. And people say to me all the time, you're so prolific, like you get so much done. And I'm like, I don't think I have a choice. It's kind of the way I'm wired. And I just thought, well, I might as well utilize it. I get burnt
Yeah.
out, sure, but it's actually, it can be a bit of a superpower if you find a way to harness it and kind of work with it responsibly, which is not easy, but it can be done.
Yeah, I think it's just finding ways that works for us, I guess, because I mean, people say there's specific times that are good to post, do this, do that. But I find that when I'm given these strategies, it puts me off. But when I just find my
Yeah.
own sort of flow with it, then that's when I'm like, so yeah, totally get you on that.
Well, there's something else that I stumbled across as well, which it pissed me off when I realized,
Mm-hmm.
is because there was, every so often you'll get this thing where all these creators come onto these platforms and go, hold up, everybody, they've changed the algorithm, they've changed the way the platform works.
Yeah.
It's an SEO now, and it's da da da, and like they came out on Instagram a while ago and said, Instagram have changed it up. They want like a grid post every day, and they want stories 3 times a day. Otherwise, you're going to drop out of the algorithm. And I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, my God. The thing you have to remember is they've set the stage and we are providing the content for their platform.
Mhm.
We are Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram is just an empty space that we're filling. We're giving them the content that's making people come back to their app. They're relying on us to do that. So when they set this hysteria into action of like, oh, well, we won't be able to show people your stuff unless you're posting on the hour every hour. Sorry. Everyone goes, oh, shit. And what it does is it just absolutely boosts their platform with so much more content that keeps people coming back for more. We are literally working for Instagram. And as a friend
Mhm.
pointed out to me, she went, I'm sorry. She goes, I post like once a month. She's like a really famous model. She said, I post once a month and get thousands of views. I'm not dropping out of any algorithm. She
Mhm.
said, I can go on there. And I noticed that there'll be people who I haven't seen on the feed for ages. And I'm like, God, I wondered where you'd gone. Have you just, and then I go on their post and realize, oh, they haven't actually posted for a month. But as soon as they did, it popped up. They hadn't been suppressed, they hadn't been dropped off the algorithm, but we're
Mhm.
told this because they want us to be slaves, essentially. They want
Yeah,
free
yeah.
labor on these platforms because
It's all a
they set the
scam.
stage, we're the entertainers, and we're not even getting paid
Yeah.
for it. So that's worth
Yeah.
remembering.
And I heard one as well the other day about it was like a content creator, and she'd said you're getting told to kind of post at these specific times, but if everyone's getting told to post at these specific times, everyone's posting at these times, so
Yeah.
post at the other times where there's not as much traffic coming in,
Yeah.
which is something that I've really listened to. But yeah, I think it can be a bit of a scam. It's the same with TikTok. Like, who knows how it even works?
I have no idea.
That's just a hit or a miss with that one, I think.
It's a very mysterious app.
Yeah, definitely. I don't really know how to word this question,
Okay.
but how do I word this? Um, with your music or with just listening to music in general, obviously you said you've now realised that, um, you were creating music for other people and now it's about making the music for yourself.
Mhm.
Have you had any sort of I don't know if spiritual awakening's the right word for
Yeah.
this, but yeah, like any sort of spiritual awakening, if that is the right word. I know that I have, so just wanted to hear if that's something you've experienced and what way.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, even last year when I was writing the commercial stuff, I still wanted to write stuff in between it that sort of meant something. And I found that, like this year, as I moved into writing the heavier stuff for the band, a lot of people sort of who were supporting me last year, but maybe weren't like massively into the music, kind of
Mm-hmm.
stepped forward and went, "Ooh, here you are." And I'm like, "Yeah," and they can feel that there's like an authenticity coming through, and I'm channeling a completely different set of feelings through this music. And there's such a kind of a lot of rage coming out, a lot of power coming out that I know a lot of women who are listening to the heavier stuff are like, ooh, ooh. And you can tell it's like kind of revving them up and it's like
Mm-hmm.
igniting something in them as well. And so, yeah, spiritually, I'm getting a lot out of writing the heavier stuff, but I'm lacing it with the softer electronic. I want to keep the feminine
Yeah.
in there because I think there is so much rage and darkness within femininity that I'm kind of loving doing both in the metal, that I have this very seductive siren-esque side to the metal. And then I have this, and I've been learning to scream sing and like, oh my God, it's like therapy.
Love
It's
that.
just unleashing this energy. It's helping me vocalize an energy rather than I'm not getting rid of it, I'm not releasing it. It's like a river, it's like a floodgate has opened. I don't want it to go. It's never going to go. Women have got a lot to be angry about, but it's giving me this lightning rod to release it into the world, and it feels really good. Really good.
I love that you refer to it as being like a feminine energy as well, because a lot of the time would hear something like that being, oh, it's a bit of my masculine side coming out, but then of course we do have that energy. Why is it referred to as masculine? Do you know, that's yeah, we just it's not something that's been typically.
No.
Well, I guess we do show it, but obviously,
It's always shown in a way that like, oh, she's lost control, and it's like, no, we lost control when we lost our ability to express our rage and be and have that be
Yeah.
valid. As soon as a woman loses her temper now, it's like, oh, she's hormonal, and it's like, fuck, when did we lose our footing here? Because it's just, we're not allowed to be assertive, we're not allowed to be dominant, we're not allowed to stand our ground, because it's labeled as like, oh, she's destabilized, God. And it's like, how is there a different set of rules for you guys? Women have every right. We've got more right than the men in some cases, in most cases, to be mad. We've had to be way more measured with it as well. So we're better at being mad. We're the experts at being quietly filled with rage.
Yeah, 100%. I'm assuming that you will have found struggles with being a female artist, female performer, writer. But if you just want to explain a bit more about that, and if there's anything particular that you've overcame.
Yeah, it's been hard over the years. Female artists we're sexualized or objectified. We are seen as cattle. I certainly experienced that early on. I was assaulted basically quite early on in my 20s within the industry, but total case of victim blaming, and I was then labeled like promiscuous and like, oh gosh, don't trust her around the session musicians. And I was like, I was attacked, asshole.
It's terrible.
And I mean, that was 20 years ago, and from what I can gather, things sadly have not moved on that far.
Yeah,
and I've certainly
no.
experienced being spoken to like an idiot by men. But I'm so lucky that the guys in my band are like the least sexist, no ego. I have to pinch myself every day. I can't believe I found them. I didn't think men like that existed anymore, and I found 3 of them. I want to lock them in a basement, like somewhere. It's like, I don't understand what's happened. Like, it's the universe was like, you've been through enough. Like, here. But yeah, I've been spoken to like I was an absolute cretin. When I was trying to find band members last year, I had people replying to my advert, having gone off and listened to my music, and they went, "Oh, your music's really good." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And he said, "So, but like, who writes your music?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I do." And he went, "No, I know, I know you write your music, but like, who actually writes it for you?" And I was like, "No, I write it digitally. I'm an electronic music producer." No, I know, no, I know that you like write the tunes, but like, who's actually doing your like production and your writing? And I'm like, oh my God, if I was a dude, you absolutely would not be continuously asking me the same question, because the answer I'm giving you is just so unbelievable to you. Like, just wild, just nuts. And then dealing with musicians that were just being inappropriate and odd. I was told by a producer that I shouldn't swear on my songs because people won't like it. People won't, they'll take umbrage to that. And I was like, are you fucking serious? Billie Eilish is like swearing in hers. Everyone's swearing in their songs these days. Like, it's not that big a deal anymore. It's in pop music everywhere. Like, what decade are you living in, dude? Like, what? So yeah, you just have this being clipped and squashed and like, oh, just trimmed, constantly being edited by people and like scrutinized and like doubted, and you're just like, God, you just like, I have no patience for it. I mean, I had a DJ say to me, he played me on his show. I inboxed him afterwards and said, "Thank you so much. I really appreciate the support." To which he replied, "You owe me a shag."
Oh my God.
I'm like, what?
Oh Christ.
I mean, it didn't upset me. I was just embarrassed for him. I was like, it's 2022.
I know.
What are you talking about? What? Like, it's not how you talk to women these days. What the fuck is wrong with you? It's wild. It's the Wild West still.
You just laugh at it and get on with it. But I feel like with social media, like, it is something that is spoken about a lot. Like, people are speaking up a lot more about kind of the shit that we take from men, not just in this industry but just in general. But it is still going on, like, massively. Like, there's maybe a lot of men out there. I mean, my boyfriend, he's like, oh, it's only, a few, not everyone's like that. I'm like, literally, you have no idea until
You'd
you're
be
a
shocked.
woman. Like, you have no idea how many men there are out there. Can't even say that they're naive. If they are, like, see the three guys that are in your band and they don't have awareness of what men can be like. It's not even like naivety. Sometimes it's just they've not experienced what we've experienced, I think.
Yeah. They just don't, it wouldn't occur to them, especially if they're the kind of guy that they wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
There's almost that they have that thing of, no, it's like
I
disbelief of like,
know.
surely not. And you're like, the horrors that women have become so accustomed to, that good men almost don't believe us because they're like, no, you're
Yeah.
exaggerating. And you're like, I wish. It makes me laugh. I don't know if you've seen this, like Joe Biden wants to enlist women in America.
No, I have not.
Have you seen this?
No, I
It's
don't
all over
really keep
TikTok at
up
the
with
moment.
the politics.
So he wants to enlist the everyday woman into the army, like it's
Oh,
World War II.
okay.
And the women of America are so unserious. It's absolutely creased me because they're just like, no, I'm sorry. My mum says there'll be boys there. I can't come. And it's just, the jokes are absolutely amazing. But what makes me laugh even more is men go into the army and then they're taught, watch over your shoulder, look for dark corners, always assume you're being preyed on the battleground, learn how to handle yourself, learn how to defend yourself. Women are taught this when we're 10 by our
Yeah.
mums. You want to put us in the army and give us guns? You're going to mobilize women. This could actually be the best thing that ever happens to us, because the shit that you're teaching men when they're 20 and going into the army, women have been taught quietly by their mums, but from the age of like 8.
Yeah.
We're taught to, don't go down the dark alleyway, watch over your shoulder. If you hear footsteps behind you, be on full alert. We are trained. We've been in training since we were kids, and they want to enlist us and give us weapons and tanks. I'm in. Let's go.
Can you imagine an army
Yeah,
full of us?
men have no idea. They have to go to war to find out what that feels like. We leave our house.
Yeah.
We're trying to walk back from the bus from a night out, and we have to treat it like we're walking through the streets of fucking Afghanistan
So true.
with camouflage. They don't understand how dangerous simply leaving the house as a woman is. They don't get it.
I know.
It's wild.
I know.
It's funny. It's not funny at all, actually. It's completely unfunny.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you've just got to laugh sometimes. I had a question like on sort of like ego and music, and like how to not separate that from, but like I know like when I was younger, wanting to be like this star, like this pop star, was it all came from ego. And now that I've like come into this new genre and I'm writing music that's just what I want to write, it's for other reasons. Obviously there's always going to be a bit ego in there, but it's mostly just the joy of music and the art, and wanting to share that with people. So it's just kind of getting your experience on that, but I just didn't know how to word it. I didn't want to be like, have you got an ego in music
No,
kind
I know
of
what you
thing.
mean. No, I know what you mean. When I first came into it, I did, in my mind, I was like, oh, I could be like interviewed here and I could appear here. And oh God, yeah, I was like big lights, bright lights, big city, sky's the limit. And then I started to look, it's a bit like when Dorothy, I liken my journey on music a lot to this, a lot to The Wizard of Oz. Her end game is getting to Oz. That's all she's concentrating on. And in the meantime, she's met her friends and she's gone on all these adventures and she's had these amazing moments and scary moments. And then the very end of the film is when she gets to Oz, and it's just some dickhead behind a curtain. like a Wizard of Oz. It's such an anticlimax. It's some guy who can't do shit. He's behind a curtain. He's lying to everyone. And it's just lies. Oz is just a big lie. And I feel like that is the music industry.
Yeah.
Like when you actually get right to the heart of it,
Yeah.
it's just this bunch of white old men who were trying to make money from everybody else, and in the meantime everyone's running around Oz like woo, and it's just some knobhead behind a curtain. And what I keep having to remind myself is that original goal doesn't work, and that's where your ego tends to go, well, it's like a race and I've got to race everyone. That's nuts. That's like racing a hedgehog and a cat and a badger and a snail. Like, everyone's so different. Like, the just as soon as you catch yourself going down that competitive route, just snap yourself out of it, because it's
Yeah.
like racing a zoo of animals. Like, it doesn't work. All those animals have different, one of them's going to fly off. How do you race a pelican with a tiger? You know, it's like ego will make you competitive, and it's pointless being competitive, because unless you are stood next to a clone of you, you are not in a fair race. So
Yeah.
stop racing other people. Stop it. Just do what you need to do, and just keep reminding yourself that the bulk of the Wizard of Oz is her meeting her friends and figuring out who she is, and then figuring out who they are. And they all
Yeah.
get to Oz thinking they know what they need. Like, one of them thinks, oh, I need a heart. And one of them's like, well, I'm stupid. And they all think this end game, they all think this goal is going to solve all their problems. And when they get there, it's nothing. It's not going to do shit. And the
Yeah.
work that they have to do is, well, he's already got a heart. He's already a fucking sweetie. The one who hasn't got a brain, it's like, well, you're doing pretty good on your own. What the industry will do and what your ego will tell you is that you're not enough. You must try
Mm-hmm.
harder. And it will lead you to abandon your abilities, and it stops you because you're constantly trying to get to the next goal. You're not sitting and looking and going, I did really well today. Oh my God, like, look what I did
Yeah.
this week. Like, look what's happened. It feeds us into this culture of you must try harder, crack the whip, crack the whip. And that's where your ego starts to become inflamed and enraged and squashed and sad. And you
Mm-hmm.
start operating from a really dark place, and you bleed energy. You just bleed motivation and energy. It's such an unhealthy place to be. And I
Yeah.
think you just have to concentrate on the journey, on the yellow brick road, and the
Definitely.
people that
Oh,
you're
I
going to
love
meet.
that.
It's cool. I have to constantly come back to that analogy to remind myself, because what I thought I wanted to do this for, it turns out looks very different. And like success, like, define success. Define it. Is it a big record deal? Because there are plenty of artists. Look at Doja Cat. She is desperate to get out of her deal, and she is doing the
Mm-hmm.
craziest shit. She got the big record deal. She hates it. She wants out.
Mm-hmm.
You have to constantly go back and ask yourself, what does my success look like? Because it isn't just some blanket term. It isn't some goal that we're all reaching towards. This finish line, if we are all in a race, everyone's finish line's in a different place. It's
Yeah.
not a race. It doesn't make sense. And
Yeah.
so you've got to take the competitiveness out of it, and that will ease your ego. And you've got to constantly keep checking in with yourself on, like, what does success look like? Because am I missing it? Like, I have met my dream bandmates. We did a really cool gig. There are people out there who are still dreaming about that. That's their goal. I just did
Mm-hmm.
it. And I'm so busy trying to get to the next goal that I haven't even acknowledged what someone else would define as their success, their goal. That's their Oz. And I just
Yeah.
ran past it and didn't even acknowledge it. And so I think you've just constantly got to just stop yourself, catch your breath, redefine, what was this week's success? What was today's success? Stop comparing yourself to other people, and just, I don't know, just be kind to yourself and acknowledge the good things that you're doing and the little moments
Yeah.
and the happiness. The joy is the key, I think.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
that just makes a bad day good. If you've had a good time
yeah.
and you've built good memories.
'Cause enjoying the process as well. I think now I've
Mm.
only realised now that that is like the most important part, because you could have the biggest goal ever, and you probably will get there, as you said with your Wizard of Oz analogy. Like, you get there and it's just, oh, is that
Yeah.
it?
Oh.
As much as I say that I am now sort of trying to just enjoy the process, I still do have that in my head that, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to reach these goals. And I don't know if it's more so being a woman that it does feel like there's a race, because we have other aspects that come into the music, you know, like the image and everything else, which obviously,
Yeah.
I mean,
You feel like you've got to meet some, again, it's this like standard of like,
expectation,
how should I
yeah.
look and what should I look like? And yeah.
Yeah.
And turning yourself into a product, which is just the worst.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sucks.
It's just
That
finding
hurts.
that balance, isn't it, between being true to yourself, but also if you do want to make money out of it, tour, sell music, as you say, like, you know, little goals at a time.
Yeah, the journey. And I think time traveling is a really good thing to do as well. And that's something that I play with quite a lot is if I'm having a day where I just feel like I'm not getting anywhere and I'm like, oh, I'm putting all this work in and there's just this quiet, there's just this like, where's the gigs? Where's this? Where's that? And I
Mm.
go, okay, take yourself 2 years into the future. You've achieved what you wanted to achieve. You've managed to sign to a dead cool label. You've just been on tour. You are absolutely burnt out. You are fucking miserable. Your ADHD is completely out of control. You are depressed. You are tired. You have not eaten properly. You've fallen out with one of your bandmates. You are super stressed. And you are sitting there somewhere far away from home, away from your friends, thinking back to this day, going, oh my God, I would give anything to be sat in my house on a rainy day with nothing
Mm.
else to do than drink coffee and quietly write whatever the fuck I want on my computer, write a new song and have no pressure and no rush and put some incense on, maybe go and have a bubble bath. Like I would give anything. I can't believe I didn't enjoy that when I was there. And it's
Yeah.
suddenly, and then you bounce back into this timeline and you go, oh, this is lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so nice. Look how much, oh, I could have a nap if I wanted to. This is great. And I think it's dead good to like hypothetically plonk yourself into a kind what you think could be your dream scenario, but really make yourself look at it in a very realistic way. I
Mm-hmm.
saw a post from Dua Lipa last year, and she was like, and it was like her getting her hair and makeup done. There was a little carousel of pictures on Instagram, and then it was like her on the tour bus getting her hair done, and then it was like her on the stage of the arena where they're like setting up all the lights, and she's there with her Starbucks coffee and her big coat on, like, oh, tonight's the night. And then the next picture was her in a hotel on a drip.
Oh.
And then the photo after that was her new shoes that she, and I was like, what? And I think it was just her way of trying to go, oh, and by the way, this is literally killing me, but I need medical assistance every day to get me through my working day.
Oh
But
my
other than that,
God.
Starbucks, like
Yeah, here's
new
my nice
shoes.
shoes.
Yeah. And it was
Oh
just one of
God.
those moments that really stuck out to me. And then there was a female DJ called Coven, and she did a really important post, which really spoke to me. She said, please, if you're just starting, I was once there and I used to stress out about never getting there and I'd never get to the point. And in the background is this video where she's playing to like 70,000 people. And she's like, and I used to stress that I would never get to this point. She goes, and now I'm here and all I do is stress about losing it.
Oh.
And she said, and now all I do is keep myself awake at night going, what if it gets quiet? What if things slow down? What's that going to look like? What's that going to feel like? She said, so please just make sure no matter what stage you're at, just enjoy it. And that's where
Yeah.
the time travel thing came from, because I thought, there she is living her dream. She's reporting back to you from the future going, it ain't all that they
It's
make
not
it
all
out to
that.
be. It's just as stressful, this end of the
Yeah.
situation.
I have heard from psychologists say that it is actually a thing where, you know, you're working up to that goal. It's always going to be, once you get to that goal, it's just like, oh, doesn't matter what it is, you get there and you're like, and we all return to that like
What
base
now?
level. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is
What
like,
now?
if we don't just find enjoyment in the process and now.
I think it's really nice to play around with the concept of being nostalgic about your current situation and like
Mm,
romanticizing your current situation. Like, you know, you'd be sat there and you're like, I'm really stressed out because this is like my second podcast and like I'm still trying to work out the
yeah.
niggles and you're so stressed. I think it's really cool to like sit now and go, one day I'm gonna look back on this and be like, oh my God, do you remember? It was so cute. And you don't know where you're gonna
Yeah.
be with this podcast. 2 years time, this could be huge. And I think it's
Yeah.
really
I know,
cute to kind of like reminisce about it now.
Yeah, I
Almost
know
like
what you
travel
mean.
back in time and put
Yeah,
yourself
it's
here
so
now and just
nice.
go, this is so cute. And I do that with the band all the time. I'm just like,
Yeah,
and I'm like nostalgic whilst I'm here,
yeah.
almost like
Oh,
missing it, like enjoying it in a, oh God, I wish I could have those days back. And I'm almost doing it like while I'm here, almost like I'm
hmm.
traveling from a different time. And it just makes you love it a little more,
Yeah, and
makes you so much
appreciate.
more grateful for it. Yeah, appreciate
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Oh, I really like that.
But no, but that's it. It's not just if ever you're just having a day and you just need to see it from a more positive perspective. Is yeah, just put yourself in the future in a whatever kind of weird situation and imagine just a really bad day in
Hmm.
the future and look back on where you are right now with like a nostalgia and look at it through these rose tinted glasses like we do all the time. I don't know about you, but I do that with my life all the
Yeah,
time. And so just do it right now and then your bad day doesn't seem so bad. And
yeah,
your current
definitely.
situation looks kind of bittersweet and you're like, I'm probably going to miss this
Yeah,
one day. So why don't I love it now rather than looking back and loving it?
yeah. Especially in the world of social media where we're just
Mm.
consumed by like other people's lives, like always
Yeah.
comparing. Well, not meaning to, but subconsciously comparing yourself to other people, and where they're at. But that's literally got nothing to do with us, like at
Yeah.
all. And I know I do it all the time. And I say, oh, like, I've got this thing about I'm going to be coming up 30, and I'm like, oh, I need to get all this done before I'm 30 because all these other people have done all this before they're 30. Like,
Yeah.
why though? Like, there was no real made up about that. I've just made that up
Mm-mm.
in my head. Like, what is that?
Vera Wang didn't design her first wedding dress till she was 42.
Love that.
It's this time.
I
This
know.
time.
I
Just
know.
let's just there's so much changing in the world. I mean, a lot of people said to me, "Oh, as a middle-aged woman breaking into the music industry, you're going to struggle." And I was like, I fucking love a challenge. And like, it's 2023. Have you seen, like, the world is crazy. If ever there's a time to
Yeah.
like smash the norms, we are bored. We are so fed up as a species. We're like, oh my God, we're not doing this anymore. So many people
I
are
know.
stepping out of lanes now. And there's so many people who are going, ooh, no, fuck off. Take your pigeonhole and shove it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to
Yeah.
wear what I want and say what I want and do what I want. Everybody's kind of breaking out of these little confined spaces that we've been expected to live in these little columns that we're supposed to, you know, and I just thought there probably is very few examples of women my age bursting onto a music scene and making a splash. I'm like, people challenge norms all the time.
Mm.
And like, how cool if I could be one of a surge of my generation stepping forward and going, I'm not. Look, Vera Wang. I mean, she's now, she in her 60s. She's in her 50s. So she was doing this shit
Yeah.
years ago. But there's plenty of examples of really, really big entrepreneurs who hit 40 and went, I don't want to do this. And
Hmm.
then did the biggest thing they ever did with their life.
Yeah. And it's probably the best time to do it when you've lived life, like, and you've got so much more to talk about and write about and make art
Yeah.
for. It's like, why is there this thing of, like, well, I've found with women, especially in music, for example, like the X Factor and whatnot, it was always like your 18, 19-year old just like ready to be, probably because when you've lived a longer life, like, you're harder to mold into what
That's
those
exactly what it
guys at
is.
the top want. It's like those young naive girls will allow that because they
Mm-hmm.
want like everything that comes with that, or that they think comes with that. Um, but I think we are coming out of that slowly now.
Well, it's because the industry is being exposed as the dickhead behind the curtain.
Yeah,
We don't need labels anymore. We can put our own music out. We can distribute. We can produce. We've got software. We've got social media. We
yeah,
can do so much of this stuff ourselves that we're
hmm,
making these labels redundant. And
yeah,
and a lot of these labels will only promote women of my age if they've been in the industry from a young age and they've been molded. But that's exactly
Yeah.
it. They don't want women like us because they're going to go, oh, we really think we should like cut all your hair off. I'm like, fuck no, what?
You go,
And I
fuck
won't be
you.
told. Yeah, I don't think so, mate.
Yeah.
And we won't be told. And and because it's a patriarchal, privileged white male culture, they don't want me. And it's like, guess what, dude? I don't want you either. I'm just out here doing it by myself. And
Yeah.
there's more and more people going, fuck you. And these white fucking men, rich men in offices are twiddling their thumbs because it's like, yeah, we don't need you anymore. Sorry. Thanks. Bye. And there's
Yeah.
way cooler like labels, and the industry is adjusting back into a place where there's respect for the artists. I believe there's going to be some really big shifts with the streaming platforms as well. There's more revenue going to be generated towards the artists because
Yeah.
the payment
Hopefully.
system at the moment is a fucking joke.
It's like sure it's around 80% as of Spotify goes to the three big labels, and then there's only the rest of that is just like goes to all the rest of us, which is absolutely shit. We get like 0.00 something pence per
Yeah.
play, and yeah, it's just it's, it's so hard because we've got these platforms where we can put music out so easily, which is amazing, but um compared to like having physical music back in the day where people could
Oh, yeah.
actually make money so much easy, like you could stand in the street and sell a CD for a tenner. You just don't. Who's buying CDs now? I miss CDs. I really loved CDs.
Yeah, it's the industry is shifting and it's becoming very outdated, and there's a real sense of people kind of packing up their stall and going, I'm going to go. And it's really good
Mm.
to see. I don't know what's going to come next, but I think it's a perfect time for somebody like me and to have these like stalwarts in the industry going, well, they're not going to let you in. And just me going, I don't want to come in. Bye. I'm going to go over here and do what I was going to do anyway. I'm going to distribute music and promote myself and do gigs without you. So bye. like like it's so funny the way they're like, we're not gonna look at you. We're not gonna, and I'm like, ooh, okay.
See
And
ya.
it feels really nice. Yeah. When you realize how much you can do yourself
Liberating.
and without being like molded and clipped and cut and edited and the idea of that just puts the fear of God into me. That somebody would say to me, we don't want you to do an album like that. We want you to do a more pop commercial album.
Yeah.
Ew. No. Ooh.
I had a module for uni about a year ago, and it was, I think it was like a genre type one, but it was performance based. And the guy goes, so what kind of genre are you? I was like, well, I'm kind of electronic, but I've got like indie pop in there, a little bit of folk in there, a bit of rock as well, a bit of this, that. And he just goes, and everyone in the class, it was all like guys that were in indie music, they all just turned and looked at me. And he was like, oh no, you can't, you need to pick one genre because we need to know what look you're going to have, like what style you're going to be on stage. And I was just like, did not come back to that module. I was like, no, I'll
No
take the other
thanks.
module, please. Absolutely
Yeah.
not.
It's this like mashing you into a shape like you're a fucking turkey Twizzler. Like, no, stop. Like,
I'm like,
no, I'm not going to be processed
yeah.
and molded and stamped into some like, oh, she's another this, she's another them, she's another Olivia Rodriguez. We're not. No, fuck
Mm-hmm.
off. Like some of the bands that I'm absolutely loving at the moment. Check out Igor. Oh my god, I just started listening to them. Wow, what the fuck? Like absolutely insane. And I don't love all of it, and then there's some that I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm.
um it's Igorrr, and it is like
Okay.
the most insane blend of stuff that I've ever heard. And I'm like, oh yeah, I defy you to slap a genre on them. And it's like they've just gone, no, we're just going to do what we want to do.
Love
And
that.
you can see people, because there's so much like, people are so stupid about genres. they're so gatekeepy and like well, you can't call yourself that because you're not. You can't call yourself electronica because you're not using real synths, and you can't call yourself that because it's not synthwave because that's 80s. And you just get so like, oh my god, when did being a human become feeling like a book in a library? Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to be. I don't want to be categorized and put on a shelf and put in my place. Like, I just want to be me. And I think the further you can kind of stray away from being slapped with a genre and put on a shelf, like, yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
if that's a dumb move, but for me, I'm way more interested in bands that are doing something completely just off the wall
Yeah. I
and
think it's
cool
easier
and
to
don't
do that
care.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. That's a bit of me. And like with the sort of self marketing, as annoying as it is that the way we have to do that in this day and age, like it does make being your own kind of like mashup of genres. It makes it easier, because you will get a fan base. You know, you'll promote it, and there will be people that are going to hear it and go, "Oh, that's different," like that.
Yeah.
Um, it's not like, yeah, how things used to be. There is, yeah, I feel like there's going to be big changes coming within this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a real, everyone's just so squashed and claustrophobic and sick of after COVID and that like stay indoors and put a mask on and go and do this and don't do that. And I think we've come out of that and we're like, yay. And people are trying to do the old, like, well, you can't go there and you can't do that. And I think we're just like, you know what? We've had enough of this.
Mm,
And it's just started this shift where people have left jobs that were making them miserable. They've started to do things that they've always wanted to do. There's this total shift of, no, I'm not going to play by the rules anymore. We all just nearly died in an apocalypse, so no, I'm not going to. I'm going to do that. Like, I thought we were all going to be dead. I was like, oh, this is it. Okay, cool. I liked these films. I didn't think I was going to be in one, but all right. And I think it did. It gave everybody this feeling of like, well, I didn't think I was going to be here at the end of 2020,
yeah.
so let's fucking go. And you can't dismantle the entire framework of everything, but it started to erode immediately.
Mm,
And now there's a lot of talk, especially within the music industry. There's a lot of talk about like there's about to be a massive change. And in order for
yeah.
there to be that change, it means it has to have been scrutinized, broken down. There has to have been a massive change in attitude. For things to be changing soon means that I think COVID was a catalyst for a massive shift in culture. It was a total
Mm-hmm.
cultural reset. And I'm like, I'm
100%.
excited about it. I am
Yeah.
excited for the likes of yourself and like you figuring out like who you are and what your little core is. Pinterest is a really good one actually. If you just make like a little Pinterest for just you as an artist and then just go and find like the kind of stuff that you want to wear as that artist, the kind of artwork that feels like it matches your song.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's like do you know what I mean? Like go and find things that you just aesthetically you feel, and then after you've done that for a little while, just zoom through your homepage and that's your core.
Yeah, I
That's
like
like
that. Like a little
your
mood board for me.
yeah, and it just generates
Yeah.
it for you and you just look at it and you go, that's me. And
Yeah.
it kind of goes, and it's a very clever algorithm on Pinterest, but it's a really cool way of you sort of seeing yourself lensed through the eye of something that's very sophisticated and
Mm-hmm.
showing you things and you're like, I am dried flowers and bats and leather. That's so me. It's quite a cool little tool to kind of
Yeah.
lock in on who you are a little bit more.
I feel like that's going to be my next hyperfixation now. I'm going to go into this and get stuck on
Do
this.
it. I think it's one of those few. I don't really contribute anything to Pinterest. I just go on it and build boards. And I think it's one of the very few social media platforms where you're not expected to talk to people. You just
Mm.
collect. You just collect pictures. You just create little moments for yourself. And it's like a little quiet place. For my ADHD brain, there's enough going on to keep me busy, but it's quiet and I don't have to talk to anyone. I can
Yeah.
just go, I like that picture. And I don't have to say anything to that person. I can just have it. Thank you. Goodbye. Like just it's a dead good way of like cultivating your vibe.
Mhm.
I find, yeah, just in terms of fashion or just aesthetic, it's a really good tool for an
Yeah,
artist, I think.
I used it for my like photo shoot that was promoting my song release for like a mood board for that. It's really good. But yeah, I feel like you could get stuck on there for a long time.
Oh yeah.
One thing I'd put down as well. Did I hear you say that you are a practicing witch? Or you're into that kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't sort of sit around and do spells and stuff, but I do work. I'm like an energy witch, really. So I work a lot with the universe. I work a lot with the powers, and I don't want to say the laws of attraction, but
Mhm.
it is a very magnetic universe that we live in. And I do work a lot. Like I've had some truly amazing stuff happen because of how I work with. I don't like the idea of casting a spell because that's kind of like going, I want this, and
Mm.
expecting the universe to go, oh, okay. Like
Yeah.
I treat the universe like Dragon's Den. I'm like, I have to approach the universe with a good business module, with a good plan of
Mm.
action. I have to have put the graft in for the universe to go, well, you seem like a good investment. I'm going to help you with that.
Yeah.
And it's yielded rather some of the most amazing results. But I'm like clairvoyant as well, so I speak to people who aren't in their bodies anymore, which is very strange. It's a strange topic, and some people are like, but yeah, energy basically on a it's very scientific approach to it. To be honest, not so much God and
Yeah.
angels and all that.
Yeah, I do try a bit of the manifestation myself. Um, but I hear a lot of people saying like just manifest it and the universe will do the rest of the work, and it's kind of like, well, I do need to do some work here. Like I'm not just gonna picture it and it
No.
will come. Like I do need to do the work as well. But I've been more trying to like manifest feeling rather than an actual like
Hmm.
what it is that I want, like how I'll feel when I get to that point, because I feel like that is more important to me. As we said before, you could get to that point and it's fucking shit, but if you've
Yeah.
manifested a feeling of like um being at peace or happiness, that'll take you to wherever it is meant to kind of take you.
It's
Um,
the joy for me. That's my goal. And when I'm always asking for that from the universe, I'm always kind of saying, I will do my hardest to make sure that anybody who's along with me for the ride, so it's my band or my producer or my friends or whatever, like
mhm,
I will do my best to make sure that they all have a really good time. Because that's the one thing in life. Money comes and goes, people come and go,
yeah,
houses, everything else comes and goes. The only thing that does not come and go in life is time. It goes
mhm,
and it will never come
and it
back.
goes.
Yeah, when it goes, it's gone. You can't buy it. Doesn't matter if you win the lottery, you can't buy more time.
Mhm,
So when you're spending your time, like spending money, spend your time wisely because money you can get back again. Time you can't.
mhm,
And so don't waste your time and don't waste other people's time as well. If somebody's like come on board to help you with your project that then becomes their project, I always want to make sure if we've been in the studio, we've done a gig, anything, I want everyone else to be as happy as I want to be. And I always
yeah,
approach the universe with that is like, please, if you give me the opportunity to find my joy in this situation, I will do my best to make sure everyone else who's there with me has the best time ever
mhm,
and that everybody gets something really cool out of this. And then the universe tends to go, okay, there you go. And just things
yeah,
happen. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then just say it's, yeah, you've got to
yeah,
imagine that the universe is like a parent. And it's not going to give you
mhm.
stuff if you just go, I want it. It's like,
If you're just a
shut up.
brat about it.
Yeah, you sort of treat it like in the films where like the boy wants the car, and so he works all through the summer holidays in the burger place, and then at the end of the holidays, his parents give him the key to his car, and they bought
Mm,
it for him because he showed them that he could work for it.
yeah,
It's you've got to make the universe proud, and you've got to be the child that they're proud of, and then the universe will
mhm,
go, you know what, you've worked dead hard, and I'm dead proud of you. Have this. And
yeah,
you're like, oh, and then it feels like a gift and it feels like something you've earned. Because if it's come
yeah.
easy, it can go easy as well.
Yeah, I always try and like give back as well. Do you know, if as being an independent artist, I do always rely on, people helping me for free, whether it's I'm doing a free gig, I need a session guitarist and bassist, or I don't know, like producers that are just helping me out, just doing that for free, and then you give that back. You give your time back, as you say. It's a time that's important, and it doesn't need to be directly to that person. It can be giving it back to other people. So yes, I like that.
Yeah, they want to back a good horse. They want to back a good investment. It's like asking for a business loan. Then you're not going to get that loan of energy and opportunity. You're not going to get those things handed to you if you haven't got a good plan of action, and if you haven't shown them that, like, I can't make this next step. I've gone as far as I can by myself, and I've worked so hard, but I just need a bit of help getting to this next level. Like, look at everything I've done, and the universe goes, "That's cool. Wow, you really have worked hard. Okay, I'm in. Let's see where we can take this." And it's just this, and you feel it, because a lot of people would look at that and go, "Well, of course, if you work hard, things are going to happen." But there's a magic that happens when you work like this, and there's a kind of unexpected bizarreness of the things that come along that you go, "What the frig? What?" That it's beyond the 1 + 1 = 2. It's like 1 + 1 equals horse in a tiara, and you're like, "What?" Like, there's just a kind of magic that happens when you really do put your heart and soul, and when you promise the universe, when you work with love, actually, when you work with joy and love, they're very strong vibrations. And if that's what you want to put out there in the world, the universe will really back you on that. If you genuinely want the people around you to feel appreciated and loved, and for them to have spent their time on this planet in a good way with you, the universe is like, "You're a good one. Okay, have this." In my experience.
Yeah. I think I've spoken about everything that and more that I would like to have spoken about you with. About you with? Oh my god, I've been talking for too
I know what you
long.
meant.
Oh,
No, that's exactly the kind of thing I would say.
Christ almighty. Yeah, words, what?
I'm trying to go through that sentence myself, and I'm like, I know all of those words need to be there, but I can't figure out what order they need to go in either.
Is that right? About
Talk to you about you.
spoke with you
No.
about, spoke with you about.
All right, show off.
Got there in
Smarty
there.
pants. But I was like, no, I can't figure out what order they're supposed to go in either.
Oh god. It is hard to I thought like talking for this long, like, oh it's fine, like talk all the fucking time, but
I've talked your back leg off, though. I
it's
do
not.
apologise.
No, don't apologise. It was all about you. I'm interviewing you. I'm glad that you've spoken a lot, because I would have just been like, ugh. I'm not fucking knowing what I'm talking about. No, I really appreciate it, and yeah, I could tell from like the videos that I've seen through your social media that you'd be really good to talk to anyway.
Oh, thank you.
And I kind of assumed that it was going to go that way. So, yeah, no, I've really enjoyed that. Also, you can plug your music and stuff as well.
Oh, I don't know. By all means, come and check out my music, my back catalogue from last year. I think it's really interesting, because what you'll hear is the initial idea of who I was, and then the second EP is like, "Uh-oh, I got sucked into the vortex. I tried to get commercial." And then the final release of the year was me going, "No, I'm me, and I want to get weird." And it was you sort of watch the arc through the year of like, "Oh, interesting." It was a lot of work to put out in one go, but you can really sort of see the journey. And then follow me as a producer, but also please, like, come and support the band, which is where I'm writing now. And yeah, just come and check us out. Might not be everyone's cup of tea, but
do you want to just say like your music and the band's music for people listening?
Sure. Okay, so me independently is SBR, SB and an R, and Bone and Star. Don't ask. It's like the stupidest name ever. I don't know why. SBR is my initials, but there was already an SBR out there, so I came up with I don't know. Anyway. And then my band is called Neon Oracle, which is a very time traveler kind of concept. Futuristic, ancient, fused into a little ball of noise.
Yeah, I love it. Amazing.
Thank you so much for having me on, though. It's been really nice to talk
Yeah,
to you.
thanks so much. Hopefully, it's all recorded fine. I've got every bit of faith in this software thing that I'm using. I did do a bit of research before, and yeah, I'm sure we'll catch up on social media and in person eventually.
Perfect.